Madison is in the concussion protocol. And then Jordan Hicks with his kind of shin contusion. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more details on that. After the game, it was swelling up pretty good, and under the recommendation of Tyler, Uriah, and our medical team, we decided to get Jordan, evaluated at a local hospital where he did need a kind of a procedure to address some of the complications, from kind of that direct trauma to his lower leg, kind of just to relieve some of the pressure that was in there. And he's doing well today, but it is something more than likely that will cause him to miss at least this week. And we'll make sure that Jordan continues to get that great care, and hope to have him back in the facility as soon as possible.
So with Jordan, is it a fracture?
No, it was kind of just from the trauma to kind of a contusion type thing that he tried to work through it a little bit, and just kind of some of the fluid that built up in there became a little bit of something that we wanted to be very aware of, not just kind of just chalk it up to something. I give our medical staff, Tyler, Uriah, like I said, our doctors, getting him quickly to the hospital and getting that thing evaluated was very important. And like I said, he's doing well and kind of on the road to, kind of being fully back in our facility.
He's still in the hospital?
He is.
How long do they think that's going to go?
I do not have that answer. I just know that as far as where he's at today, and it's more of kind of just out of precaution at this point, and knowing that what was done between the end of the game and into last night was, can't credit our medical staff enough for being on top of that.
So what was the condition that caused? Is it a condition, or is it?
Yeah, it's you can classify it as a kind of a compartment syndrome type thing, where the pressure in that area and kind of the damage it can cause, if not handled, with the utmost level of concern like our guys showed, could have been something that, could have been very serious. So.
And sorry to keep bugging for details, but was it like last night, or was it like late at night? Or
Immediately following the game.
So he left the stadium?
Yes. He was transported directly to, then be evaluated, and then they decided to be, a proactive procedure to make sure that pressure was relieved.
Did he have symptoms that made them realize it needed to be addressed that quickly?
Just the level of the swelling, kind of very shortly after the game, it did change, and kind of triggered them to go into a mode to make sure we were doing the best thing for Jordan.
Was everything good with the surgery?
Yes, absolutely. Everything as far as making the timing was probably the most critical thing. And like I said, Jordan's doing really well. I'm going to get a chance to hopefully go see him this afternoon. And I know we've had some of our folks with him since he's been there. So, something that this game, the level of which this game from a physical standpoint, and these guys are so tough, and they're willing to play through anything. Sometimes things like this can pop up, and at that point, it's about the skill and just the awareness, and that's why I've talked to you guys many times about our medical staff and our resources here. We couldn't do the job that we do without them, and the decision making and the care and kind of the urgency at which they handled this situation was very, very critical.
He came out and then went back in. Did it happen a second time, or?
No, it was one of those things where it pretty much was a lower leg contusion, and then he felt good to go and went out there, and as he played on it a little bit more, just didn't feel right to him, so he came out of the game, and then really from that point forward, he was kind of in evaluation mode for that, and then after the game, it was determined to get him some more attention.
What's the plan moving forward to run back?
Yeah, as of with Alex in the protocol, and he's doing very well. I don't want to speculate just kind of what that looks like for the week. Just kind of similar to some of the other instances we've had with the protocol. We'll allow that to play out medically with the doctors, and we've got Ty, who did some, really good things and really has done a lot of good things, showing his explosiveness, his burst. The more work we can get Ty, the better. I thought Kane came in and had a nice little, some nice touches there, getting outside on one of the gap plays. And then we'll evaluate. We have a lot of confidence in Debo. Whether potentially there's a practice squad call up there and potential depth moves. We'll continue to work through that. But, it's kind of what our season has been, Alec, from a standpoint of in the receiver room or along the offensive line, the quarterback position, now the running backs with Cam last week and now Alex. But, my hope is Alex will progress. What that means for Sunday night, I do not know. But we feel good about that depth we have. And like a lot of positions this year, it more than likely will be tested.
Kevin, speaking of depth, what is your quarterback depth looking like this week in terms of Nick Mullins being back or Jaron Hall coming out of concussion protocol?
Yeah, my hope is to open Nick Mullins' window this week as far as his availability to be activated to the roster. That will be determined based upon getting him a little bit more work. And I believe Jaron more than likely will be, hopefully cleared and be able to be a participant in practice. And then we see kind of what that looks like. If Nick's, able to be activated and we have Jaron, we could possibly have all three with the emergency quarterback rule back into play. It's been a few weeks since we've, had three healthy quarterbacks available. So we'll work through that throughout the week. And, we're going to make sure we have Sean here as well. In addition to what he's been in the quarterback room for those guys, we also feel like Sean's a viable option for us with his understanding and arm talent to move the football team as well.
It's probably an obvious question, but safe to assume Josh Dobbs goes in and still as a starter?
Yes.
Kevin, when you, after, I guess, Kansas City and Justin goes down in that game, I'm assuming you and the offensive coaches tried to, start sorting through what the offense was going to look like.
Yep.
Things don't always happen right away, but what would you say are sort of the main concepts you focused in on and saying, like, we know we're going to knock down for 4 games, it might be more, this is who we built the offense around, how do we move forward? What were sort of the things that you focused in on?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has been our confidence in the other group, with Jordan and TJ, feeling like they were both in positions to, kind of assume, depending on down and distance situation, there's kind of a time and a place to really feature both those guys. And then knowing KJ and what he's been able to bring as a constant, moving him around, all the different things that he's done. Brandon Powell just continues to go out there and do so many different jobs that I'm sure you guys are seeing, but just the critical catches that seem to move the chains and provide life, from that kind of slot position that he plays. And then getting Speedy back was huge. But as far as the philosophy on it, Kev, I really look at it like it was, what can we do to maximize our ability to find space in zones and attack man coverage when we get it? How do we build a world where we can live in both worlds simultaneously? And then how do we live in that world with maybe a quarterback that hasn't been here very long to truly activate, every facet of what we want to accomplish? And I think that's some snaps where, Josh's athleticism comes to life these last 2 weeks, and we find a way to earn a new set of downs that way, or trying to, engage and try to, through the marriage of the run and the pass, can we generate some explosives on some early downs when the threat of run or pass is still viable? We had a couple, I think 3 kind of explosives off of those types of plays yesterday, albeit a keeper, a couple play passes. So we're going to just keep on finding different ways, based upon what the defense presents, that allows us to give our guys chances to go make plays. And over these last, really since that time, and really before that, guys have been making plays. And I think their confidence level has gone up. And we've played some really good defenses. There's another one waiting for us that's playing really well this Sunday night. So it's going to be a challenge, and we've got to go have a great week of prep and figure out what that looks like. It's a week-to-week thing, really.
Yeah, with that said, I think he tweeted last night that he can't wait to get back on the field.
Yeah.
Where are you at with him, and is it possible it will be this week?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're going to ramp him up. He handled kind of the workload that we started him out with last week, opening up his window to get him back. on the practice field. We'll see kind of what that looks like throughout the week, maybe a little bit more here and there. I know nobody wants to be out there more than Justin, and maybe with the exception of me wanting him out there. But we're going to continue to be smart with Justin and know that when we do get him back, it's going to be a major boost for us, getting the best receiver in football back out there with the group and the confidence that group's had, kind of overcoming, him not being out there with us.
When you're adding a quarterback in the middle of the season, what's the process like, especially in terms of some of the runs, look like the RPO thing,
Yeah.
more of a design run yesterday. What's the process of adding things to the offense that a new player brings a skill set that maybe you haven't tapped into before? Is it going back into things he's run previously, or things he liked in college? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of what, schematically we feel like gives us a reason to do it. And there were some good times yesterday situationally that we kind of activated some things. But I think it's a balance. We had two quarterbacks, one of which a practice squad elevation, up for the game. We did have a very thorough emergency third quarterback plan. I know we're all waiting to continue to hear about that. But we've got to be smart with them too, because those natural plays are also going to happen when he does, create off schedule or steal us a first down or two or three. And I think we've got to balance that with, it can be easy to kind of say, hey, how much easier would it be to run the ball by running the quarterback every snap? And I think there's some definite possibilities we can get into, and we'll keep on exploring those. All what we think is best to move the ball. And it's not just about Josh and what he can do. It's also our other 10 guys on the field and how they handle kind of schematically what we need to do. And then you don't want those plays to just kind of stand out, on their own. You want to try to marry them up and have some different phases of run and pass that give you a chance to, kind of build from there. Because it's really not our philosophy to just go, see something on tape and copy it and go put it in. It's kind of more of a philosophical approach to kind of building our offense from here, which does, it looks different to me too sometimes. And I think that's okay. It's about what the players do best and coaching them and giving them plans to allow them to do that.
Kevin, how much and where in your background have you spent time around mobility and maybe like dove into some of that off-field?
Yeah, you can go back to some of the early years that I coached, Johnny Manziel, and he had some natural playmaking ability, going to San Francisco with Cap and some of those guys there with Lane and just kind of different ways in an offense that was already kind of built for that. Just learning more about that. And then even when Alex Smith came to Washington, he was coming off of a really, really good season in Kansas City and a chunk of time there where they had done some really, really good things and used his athleticism here and there, but also the RPO world and some of that. So I've been around it, and I do believe in definite, in applying those things. I think there's a time and a place. I think there's the right times to do it, and then there's other times to continue to kind of allow our offense that we've built, that a lot of guys have time on task here, to kind of come to life as well. And that's the balance, trying to, coming up on our, 11th game now. We've got a lot of time on the practice field logged that maybe Josh wasn't there for, but he's been a quick study on some of that stuff, and we're trying to kind of meet, in the middle on that and continue to evolve, I think is the word. There's no rule that says you have to stay the same for the whole season. You can evolve and do it for the right reasons with good principles, I think is a good thing for everybody.
Last two.
Kevin, with Hicks out, obviously it's what he does on the field, but also
Yep.
the communication on
Yep.
the field. How important is it? What did you like when he was out that you saw in terms of kind of handing that off? And
Yeah.
what would you like to see improve?
Yeah, it's going to be a huge thing. Jordan's been, I can't even put into words how important he's been with what we do on defense, how he's communicated, played a ton of snaps for us and getting us into calls, adjustments in games, adjustments in play. So, more than likely, Ivan Pace will handle the green dot duties, and we'll have a plan for what that looks like in addition to Ivan, whether it's possibly another linebacker, Josh Metellus, Harrison Smith. I mean, we've got possibilities based upon the packages we put on the field, but it is a unique thing because that green dot, you don't want to be in a situation where you're taking one helmet off and handing it to another, snap in and snap out. So Ivan handled it in the preseason, and that was one of the things that really jumped out at us, how well he handled that, leading those groups, and he's had some work at it throughout the season, kind of in spot duty. So got to get him ready to go, and I know Flo and his group will do a good job with that.
Kevin, you said you study, I know how you grade players, and you said you need to improve too. How do you grade yourself? How do you go about it in the 24 hours after a game where you say, is it the pep talk, is it the play call? What do you focus in on for yourself?
I don't think it's the pep talk, but I think the way I look at it, there were some scenarios and parts of that game. Each game is its own kind of individual story, and how you handle the situations of the game are always learning processes for me. And I think as a head coach, if I ever stop doing that, that's a disservice to everybody around here. I think there's coaches that have coached a lot of years in this league, some of the best coaches in our league, that would tell you they're still, this game can provide learning lessons every single Sunday, and that's the way I look at it. Backup quarterback goes in the game on the other side. You've got a significant lead. Do you get too conservative to try to not have negatives and turnovers and things that could contribute to them getting back in the game easier? We had a lot of respect for that team, both defensively. I think they're one of the best defenses in the NFL. And then offensively, with the skill players they had, we were down some players defensively. Just trying to pick that balance. And you'd love to, get that second Ty Chandler touchdown, or maybe convert a few more third downs, get in that 4-minute, and maybe see if we can possibly do more than just make them use timeouts, get it, earn that first down, and then you possibly look at ending the game on that first set of downs we got. There's a lot of things that go into it. I think it's sometimes easy to just say, hey, man, they 24 points and almost 300 yards in the first half. Why don't they have 48 points and 600 yards? That's just not the way it really works when you're trying to manage it. But by all means, there are things yesterday that I look back on and will evaluate and say I could have done this, and this, and then some, better and different. And you don't want to be results driven. So I look more at the play calls and what we're attempting to do on that sequence of downs, or to try to take the field goal or not. Just questions that you're looking back on, and how could the game been maybe put out of reach quicker. But at the same time, I know we're scratching and clawing to get back to that turnover margin at 0. I think we're -3 now, so it's been a long road back from those initial numbers, and I think some of those decisions, albeit not exciting sometimes, can help us contribute to that.
Do you think you'll get Marcus Davenport back? I think it's 4 weeks.
Yeah, he's still, he had that procedure to kind of, fix that kind of ankle that sometimes is a rest and recover, sometimes it's a procedure, and he will more than likely be available at some point, Kev. I don't know when that'll be, and don't want to speculate on that. He's ripping away at his rehab, and we'll work towards when that will be. We've got a lot of football left, hopefully not just the games that are on our schedule, so we'll see what that looks like.